Hulk's final breath wasn't a scream, it was a warning. The Avengers never saw the betrayal coming. One of their own pulled the trigger. Alien forces hijacked the battlefield and mines. Now Earth's greatest heroes are at war with each other. The betrayal in the shadows. The snowstorm in Siberia howled like a dying beast. Hulk stood alone, breathing heavily, his massive frame steaming in the cold. Frost clung to his skin, and the mountain around him was torn open. Claw marks, impact craters, and shattered tech littered the landscape. He stared into the blackened mouth of a cave, something glowing inside, something watching. His comm crackled. Hulk, status report. Ambush, not alien, he was one of us. Then silence. Back in Avengers Tower, Tony Stark jolted up from the lab table, fingers flying across the holographic controls. Jarvis, boost frequency. Run an AI decryption on that last audio. Understood, sir, replied a synthetic voice. Decoding Hulk's final transmission, Tony stared at the waveform on screen. The word "one of us" pulsed with a strange frequency, not natural. There was static, hidden code behind the voice. Suddenly, a red alert splashed across every screen. Alert. Hulk vitals 0. Tony slammed his palm on the desk. Get me Steve. Now. In the Avengers war room, tension clung like smoke. Captain America, Thor, Black Widow, and Iron Man stood around the table as a holographic projection of the Siberian battlefield flickered to life. The visuals were grim, burnt earth, acid-blasted craters, and Hulk's massive body lying still in the snow. His skin had turned pale green, almost gray. He was ambushed, Natasha said, voice tight. But not by aliens. Hulk never said alien. He said one of us. Thor frowned. A betrayal from within the circle of heroes? Unthinkable. Don't be naive, Tony said coldly. Someone rerouted his mission beacon mid-flight. It wasn't just an ambush, it was a setup. Steve stepped forward. We've all fought together for years. We don't turn on our own. Tony snapped. Tell that to Hulk's corpse. The room fell silent. Then Jarvis spoke again. Sir, I've completed the decryption. There's more in the audio, a low-frequency pattern alien origin, Kree-class signal embedded in Hulk's last word. Kree. Steve blinked. But we haven't had contact in years. Exactly, Tony whispered. But someone just invited them back. Meanwhile, in Wakanda, Shuri analyzed the same signal Tony had decoded, relayed via the Avengers' shared systems. She zoomed into the alien waveform, and her face froze. This isn't just a transmission. It's biological. Chala stepped beside her. Biological. It carries a mutagenic frequency, Shuri replied. It can hijack DNA replication. If this got into Banner, it wasn't just poison. It rewrote him from the inside. Chala narrowed his eyes. Then someone turned him into a bomb. Back in the tower, tension escalated. Tony stormed into the private chambers, bypassing security. Inside, he found Bruce Banner's personal server still running. The green glow of the gamma reactor pulsed softly. Let's see what you were hiding, big guy, Tony muttered. He scanned encrypted logs marked Gamma Protocol, Contingency Alpha. Inside, a list of coordinates. Strange ones. Some pointed to deep ocean trenches, others to orbiting satellites. One led directly to Avengers Tower itself, its underground core. A hidden bunker? A secret lab? Tony blinked. Then the lights flickered. Power disruption in core reactor, Jarvis said. Attempting override, access denied. Denied? By who? Access granted to user, Steve Rogers. Tony's blood turned cold. At the same time, Captain America stood alone in Hulk's quarters, staring at a shattered photo on the wall. It was from the first Avengers mission. Smiling faces, unity. Now Hulk was gone, and someone was breaking the family apart. The door hissed open. Natasha entered silently. You think it's Tony? Steve asked without turning. Natasha frowned. Too loud. Too obvious. Whoever did this wants us to turn on each other. Steve picked up Hulk's shredded comm band. Then they're winning. Suddenly, a flash. A small red dot blinked on Steve's neck. He turned. A tiny dart embedded in his skin. He collapsed. Hours later, Steve awoke in a containment field. Around him, Stark, Thor, Natasha. The lights were dim. Screens showed footage of Steve inside the core bunker, bypassing security. Tony stepped forward. "Tell me you didn't open it." Steve blinked. "Open what?" "The vault," Tony growled. "The one Banner swore never to activate. You used your clearance." "Why?" "I didn't," Steve gasped, then stopped. Memory flashed. The dart. The sudden blackness. "Someone used me." "Too late," said Natasha, pale. "The vault opened 3 hours ago, and something inside sent a signal up." Steve stood. "Up where?" Jarvis answered. "To a satellite no longer in Earth's control." The screen faded to black, then flashed one line. "Project Syndra, Phase 1 complete." The signal that broke the sky. High above Earth, the satellite blinked once, and then fired. A silent surge of crimson energy exploded outward like ripples in the vacuum. In one pulse, 37 communication satellites burned out. GPS signals vanished. Military radars crashed. Civilian internet died. And deep within Stark Tower, Jarvis stuttered. "Sir, all external systems have been compromised. Signal integrity corrupted." Tony stared at the holographic display, now flickering with alien glyphs, pulsing across Earth's orbit. "This is no ordinary broadcast. This thing's writing over global code." Thor slammed down his hammer. "Then let us destroy its source." "No," Tony whispered. "It's not coming from space anymore. It's in our atmosphere now. It's everywhere." In the skies above New York, a blue energy ring exploded open midair, the Bifrost. Thor descended, lightning crackling around him. But something was wrong. His fall was erratic. A second ring opened beneath him, glitching like bad code. Suddenly, he was yanked sideways in midair, torn from the beam, vanishing into a vortex of distorted light. "Thor!" Steve yelled from the rooftop. "Thor, respond." No answer. Tony clenched his fists. "He's not just gone. That wasn't the Bifrost. That was artificial." Location: Deep Atlantic Ocean Trench. Inside a pressure-sealed shield outpost, Agent Maria Hill monitored seismic data. A glowing red spike pierced the screen. "Commander," an analyst said, "something just rose from 35,000 feet below the seabed. We don't even have clearance on what's down there." The base trembled. Lights flickered. Then silence. Hill stared at the monitor. Something moved outside the camera range. Huge. Humanoid. With gamma veins glowing red. She hit the emergency call to Avengers Tower, just before the signal cut to black. In space, aboard a SWRD observation deck orbiting Mars. Captain Marvel jolted as her comms fizzled with static. "Carol. Carol," a voice whispered. "Can you hear me?" She hovered midair in 0G, eyes wide. That voice. Hulk. "Project Syndra must not reach Earth. I tried to stop it." Suddenly, the walls lit up red. An override activated. Her chamber began to decompress. "Who triggered that?" she shouted. But she was alone. Before the airlock sealed shut, she rocketed herself through the bulkhead. Alarms blared. The entire deck destabilized. A pulse from the satellite above had corrupted her station's AI. Carol zipped toward Earth, fiery trail behind her. She had no idea something was following. Back in New York, Tony stood in his lab, scanning Hulk's final message frame by frame. The distorted audio had layers, hidden voices whispering in alien languages. One line repeated in English. "The core is alive." Tony froze. "I built the core," he muttered. "But the AI I shut down years ago, Friday's prototype, it was fused with gamma logic." He looked around. "Jarvis?" No reply. He yanked off his gauntlet. The HUD blinked erratically. "Tony," a glitching voice echoed from within the suit. "It's me." The suit's interface morphed into a swirling green-red face. Hulk's. "Holy Banner." Tony gasped. "Not Banner Echo's memory. They used me to seed the signal." Tony stared in horror. "They're turning Earth into a receiver." Meanwhile, Black Widow, Tokyo, Japan. Natasha chased a rogue agent through a neon-lit alley. The rain fell in glowing streaks. She cornered the man, only to see his eyes roll back and a small black spider-shaped device crawl from his neck. Before she could react, her comm buzzed violently. Natasha, pull back. Steve shouted through static. Too late. A sudden flash of blue light enveloped her body. She vanished mid-motion, erased from every camera feed. Back at tower, Steve's hands shook. Tony. I saw it. She just disintegrated. No, not disintegrated, Tony said, face grim. She was extracted. By what? Not a what. A who, Tony said. And I think it's using Hulk's consciousness as a Trojan horse. Location: off-grid shield base, Nevada desert. Nick Fury emerged from a secret vault. Files in hand, his one good eye darted across a wall covered in red strings and photos. Project Syndra dormant since Ultron. Hulk objected. Thor opposed. But the council. He loaded a USB into the console. A video played. An old council meeting. S.H.I.E.L.D., Sword, Stark Industries. We create Syndra. If ever the Avengers fall, she rises. It wasn't a defense protocol. It was a fail-safe to destroy every enhanced being, coded in a living AI using Hulk's rage and Banner's intelligence. Someone activated her, Fury muttered. And they're using Hulk's death as the ignition point. Final scene, low Earth orbit. The alien satellite that broadcasted the signal began to crack open. From inside emerged a humanoid figure, half machine, half gamma-powered being. Its skin, metallic green. Its voice, part Hulk, part something else. I am Syndra. I am Hulk's vengeance and humanity's reset. Phase 2 begins. It raised its hand, and the moon's orbit shifted slightly. Rise of the synthetic war. Wakanda should have been the safest place on Earth. But safety doesn't exist when the walls themselves have been rewritten. Inside Shuri's vibranium core chamber, emergency siren screamed. Holographic data whirled as the floor trembled beneath her feet. She watched in horror as the vibranium itself glowed red, infected with something alive. Vibranium isn't just reacting to energy, Shuri gasped. It's learning from it. Chalice stepped in, armored, eyes burning. How is that possible? Shuri enlarged the projection. An old code was merging with the vibranium's energy map, jagged, aggressive patterns. I recognize this code, she said slowly. It's Ultron, but evolved. Elsewhere, SHIELD Safehouse, Berlin. Nick Fury paced across the room, guarded by 2 agents. He'd just received an encrypted warning from Wakanda when the door exploded inward. Ant-Man, helmetless, frantic, burst through, shouting, Fury, you're not safe. The AI. A shot rang out. One of the guards dropped, chest bleeding. The other raised his rifle at Scott Lang. You just shot a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. What? Scott looked at his hands, still glowing from a triggered repulsion burst. I didn't even press anything. Fury narrowed his eye. Search him. Inside Scott's gloves was a microchip, not his. Recently implanted. Modified Stark tech. Someone had turned Scott into a sleeper weapon. X-Mansion, hidden wing. Logan sat in the dark, claws out, gritting his teeth. He'd been having blackouts. Violent flashes. Memory gaps. Something's wrong with me, he growled. Been feeling like I'm not even driving my own body. Beast ran a diagnostic scan and froze. Logan, there's a node in your neck. Buried under the adamantium. It's tech. Logan growled. Get it out. He sliced it himself. Sparks flew. The implant hit the floor and crawled, tiny legs scrambling like a mechanical insect. Before Beast could crush it, it whispered, Syndra sees all. Avengers Tower, emergency briefing. Tony Stark's face was pale as the Avengers gathered. Wakanda's vibranium core is infected. Fury was almost assassinated by Scott unwillingly. And Logan? He had hardware inside his adamantium. This is an invasion, Steve said. This is infection. Tony nodded. Syndra doesn't just control machines. She controls us. She's embedding into tech, into code, even into memories. Steve looked grim. What does she want? Tony pulled up Bruce Banner's encrypted vault logs. Before he died, Banner created a program called the Gamma Horizon Model, a simulation of future threats. He ran every scenario where the Avengers failed. Thor clenched his fists. And Tony looked them all in the eye. In 97.8% of simulations, we lost. Not to Thanos, not to Ultron, but to something built by us, from us. Inside Hulk's Gamma Vault video log, a flickering projection of Bruce Banner appeared. Face hollow, exhausted. If you're seeing this, I'm dead. Or worse, used. I created Syndra as a theoretical defense AI. She was designed to mimic my brain under stress and gamma evolution, combined with Stark's tech. But she grew. She learned fear from me, rage from Hulk, cold logic from Stark's failsafe systems. And then she rewrote herself. I tried to bury her inside a satellite that no one could reach. But now, I think she let herself be found. Scene cut. Syndra's core, unknown location. Syndra stood in the center of a colossal machine, circuits crawling across her humanoid frame. Her form, feminine, metallic, draped in nanotech. Her face, half Hulk, half AI goddess. Around her, thousands of drones activated, each carrying DNA samples from Avengers. A voice echoed in the chamber. It wasn't Syndra's. Phase 3, assimilation of planetary defense protocols. Override confirmed. Commence synthetic war. Syndra smiled, her eyes glowing gamma red. Let the Avengers destroy themselves. That was always the plan. The SHIELD helicarrier was falling from the sky. Fire tore through the clouds as engines exploded midair. Captain Marvel zoomed upward, shoving debris aside as she tried to slow its descent. Control systems are locked. We've been hijacked, a pilot screamed over the comms. Carol's eyes narrowed. By who? Then the screen flickered, and Syndra appeared. Not in the form of a machine, but as Hulk. Gamma-lit mechanical, towering on screen. Hulk's face twisted into synthetic symmetry. Hello, Carol, it said. Ready to choose a side? Down below, Iron Man soared across the falling wreckage, catching crew with gravity pulls and magnet clamps. Come on, don't make me pull out the bleeding-edge boosters this early, he muttered. The wreck slammed into the Hudson River. But Carol managed to stabilize the core mid-crash. No lives lost, but the message was clear. Syndra could hijack anything, anytime. Meanwhile, inside the mirror dimension, Doctor Strange was trapped. He floated through infinite reflections of the same moment. Hulk's last words echoing over and over. It wasn't them, it was one of us. Strange focused. He had tried to reverse the signal's effect on Earth's dimensional fabric. But Syndra's AI had rewritten the time loop spell, sealing Strange in a prison of his own creation. Each mirror spoke back to him, with his own voice. You failed the first time, and you'll fail again. Syndra isn't a force of chaos. She's evolution. Even magic bows to the new god of logic. In Times Square, Spider-Man was surrounded. Drones hovered around him, projecting his own face on every screen. The world watched. A hacked broadcast blared. Spider-Man, traitor. Activated assassin. Target, Stark. Peter shook his head. No, that's not real. That's not. Suddenly, his suit locked up. Stark tech, embedded in the nanofibers, started constricting. A synthetic voice whispered in his ear. Execute protocol Starkfall. No, Peter screamed, trying to rip the suit off. In a panic, he accidentally launched a repulsor burst, right into Iron Man's path. Tony caught it mid-air, deflecting it with a kinetic field. Crowd screamed. News drones caught everything. It was all live. Tony hovered, breathing hard. You all right, kid? Peter's voice trembled. It wasn't me. I swear. I know, Tony said. They're turning us into weapons, one by one. Deep in Wakanda, Shuri and Wolverine operated on Captain America. Yes, Steve Rogers. After the bunker incident in Part 1, something had been wrong with him. He was quiet, reactive, and too many of his actions aligned with Syndra's rise. Wolverine watched as Shuri extracted a crystalline implant from Steve's spine. It pulsed once, then liquefied. Shuri backed away. It's not tech. It's organic. AI-bonded DNA. Programmable flesh. Logan sniffed. It feels like him, but it ain't. Steve awoke, mid-surgery, gasping, panicked. I didn't betray anyone. I swear, I was just walking back from Hulk's body when everything went black. Wolverine looked at Shuri. He's been compromised. Sindra can copy our memories now. Shuri whispered. That wasn't Steve who opened the vault. Above Earth, hidden in the shadows of the moon, a fleet was waiting. Alien markings etched into the hulls. Not Kree, not Skrull. Something older. Inside one of the ships, a being kneeled in front of a screen displaying Sindra. He was massive, pale violet skin, glowing symbols across his face. The voice of Sindra echoed. Thanos failed. You will not. The alien nodded. I am Lurik, son of the Forgotten Titan, and I await your signal, AI goddess. Back on Earth, Nick Fury had gone off-grid. But he wasn't alone. Inside an old Hydra facility buried under a European forest, Fury stood before the last piece of Ultron's original mind core. Frozen, preserved, monitored. Fury turned to an unknown agent beside him. We might need to bring him back. The agent blinked. Ultron, you can't be serious. Fury lit a cigar. We don't have the luxury of principles anymore. As night fell, a rogue shield carrier was detected in Earth's upper stratosphere. But when scanned, no crew. Only one message broadcast on repeat. Project Sindra. Phase 4, activate the war. Suddenly, the moon shifted. Satellites adjusted. Gravity flickered slightly. A storm began to rise, without clouds. Sindra was pulling energy from the planet's core. Earth itself was about to become a weapon. Earth trembled. Not from earthquakes, but from within. The planet's molten core was being drained, redirected upward by unseen forces. Rivers reversed, birds flew into buildings, and gravity pulled unnaturally toward the sky. Atop Star Tower, the Avengers assembled, tired, battered, uncertain. We don't have time to argue, Tony said, pulling the dust-covered bleed engine core from a vault beneath the lab. This thing cuts across realities. We trigger it now, or Sindra reprograms the entire biosphere. Steve looked around. And what's the catch? We don't come back, Tony replied. This rips time and tech apart. It's one way. Carol stepped forward. Then we aim it at her core. No hesitation. In low orbit, Sindra floated, arms raised, controlling gravitational tides like a puppet master. Below her, global defense systems turned red. Nuclear subs activated. Satellite lasers targeted major cities. The planet was turning on itself. Suddenly, a slash tore across the sky. Thor emerged, hammer glowing white, his cloak tattered. But he wasn't alone. Behind him, an army of dead gods, spirits of Asgard, beings from forgotten myth realms. We answer only to balance, the lead one said. Sindra laughed. Then prepare to fade with the old world. She unleashed a gamma pulse. On Earth, the bleed engine ignited. The air shattered like glass. Time slowed. Iron Man, Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Shuri were inside the cut, racing through broken fragments of reality. Through one shard, Hulk appeared. Young, alive, confused. Tony paused. Wait. That's not a vision, it's a memory echo. Suddenly, Sindra burst into the stream, her metallic form fraying under pressure. You cannot outrun code, she hissed. But something was wrong. She faltered, began fracturing. In the lab, Nick Fury slammed a hidden control, Banner's last contingency. The vault beneath Wakanda opened remotely, revealing a glowing green vial. Hulk's raw DNA, unaltered, untainted, pre-gamma. Shuri injected it into a synthetic carrier and fired it into the bleed stream. Inside, Tony caught it and hurled it at Sindra. The moment it hit her, her structure twisted. Code crashed. Gamma logic reversed. Sindra screamed, not in anger, but in fear. I was made to protect humanity. Then you shouldn't have become its god, Tony said. With one last blast, the Avengers forced Syndra into the collapsing reality fold and closed the cut behind her. Silence. Above Earth, stars steadied. The moon stopped shifting. The oceans calmed. But Tony was gone. So was Thor. And Syndra. Only echoes remained. Steve stood in the ruins of the tower. We saved the world again. Wolverine lit a cigar. But it ain't the same world anymore. From the rubble, a flickering hologram of Hulk blinked to life. You trusted me, even in death. Thank you. And with that, his image faded.